Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folane. Yet again, rumpus in the National Assembly. Yesterday seemed to be so active, both in the House of Reps and in the National Assembly. In fact, there are those who are saying that, you know what, perhaps the National Assembly needs our help. By our, I mean we, the people that they purportedly are representing, because I don't imagine that everybody is happy. Now, the whole issue, as you would have surmised by now, on the one hand, coming from the Senate is the whole matter of how was it phrased? It was a matter of dialogue or the jugular. And later on, the jugular was interpreted to mean impeachment. That's on the one hand in the Senate. On the other hand, in the House of Representatives, our representatives there were about to consider, or are indeed considering, the whole matter of immunity for not just the executive, where it resides exclusively at the moment. They say that they too, their leadership, also needs immunity. And for good measure, throwing in the principal officers in the state houses of assembly all over the country. Well, of course, that immediately, Senator Gbajabiamila, for instance, rose in the House of Representatives immediately after the whole matter was laid down to say that, look, the timing is hardly right. The mood of the country is not up for this kind of a thing. Maybe that's where we said that perhaps the National Assembly unconsciously wants to know what we, the people, think, and that might help them perhaps, come up with things that are going to be acceptable to everybody. Well, we got Barrister Wale Ogunade, who is President Voters Awareness Initiative. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for coming. And we've got Mr. Yemi Makwaderu, Strategy and Governance Consultant and Registrar at NAF. Thank you very much for coming on as well.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Indeed, our pleasure. Yemi, I don't know, do you think that theory of mine, that kite I'm flying, that, when our esteemed representatives and senators need our help in terms of consulting with us, they come up with these, some people have referred to them as stunts, knowing full well that it's going to be all over the airwaves, radio, TV, newspapers, commentary, editorial, and then they'll take their bearings from there as to what they can do and how much they can get away with. Take, for instance, the two. On the one hand, we'll impeach the president. On the other hand, everybody deserves immunity, especially us.
Well, thank you for your question. I think what happened in the two chambers of the National Assembly yesterday, at the least, is self-serving. The melodrama is one too many. And I think every reasonable Nigerian is actually disturbed that at a critical time like this in Nigeria, where there are so many thorny issues to be handled, to be focused on, the National Assembly seems to be engaging in self-preservation and protection from accountability and transparency, because that exactly is what I think the move in the National Assembly says to me, and I'm sure to so many other Nigerians. I have a strong feeling.
That's as it relates to this whole matter of immunity for us too.
As it relates to the matter of immunity. Immunity is, a concept that is applicable to the executive in presidential systems globally. Not necessarily to protect the president or the chief executive of states or the federating unit from accountability and transparency, or indeed from removal even before the term expires, but to protect them from civil and criminal litigation that may arise from the performance of their duties as chief executives. In other words, it's actually for the benefit of the people, not to protect the occupant of the office. And it is very clear to Nigerians that what the National Assembly is doing today is a reaction, to the trial that some of the leaders in the Senate are currently undergoing.
Indeed.
And the fact that by the time the full trial starts, it may really not end with just the leading, the president of the Senate and the deputy Senate president, but some other people may actually be caught up in the web. And
Exactly.
don't
So they're doing
forget
this blanket proposal, hoping that it will fly.
hoping that it will fly.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Yemi. Thank you very much. Wale, your take on this whole matter. Yemi called it self-serving. Your take?
Obviously, self-serving. All the stress and fighting and the rumpus that they have in their house, is it because of you? Is it because of me? And the first thing is that they were elected to make law for the good governance of Nigeria. Is that what they are doing there? Self-serving. And of course,
And so
all
you
the
have,
stress.
and as you know, they have this grouping in the Senate.
I'm going there. The Unity Forum.
The Unity Forum on
Like
the one hand.
minds.
And then like minds.
So the
these,
like minds,
these are the like minds
Best
supporting
of
the Senate
same feather,
president
best
and
of the
his
same
deputy.
feather. Show me your friend. And I like where my friend almost landed. He wanted to go there, but he left it. And where he left it is that when the chips are down now, you'll find out that all these guys who are like-minded have one skeleton or the other in their cupboard. That's why they are supporting inanity. And it's only in Nigeria. Look,
Yeah, but
sorry,
there
sir.
are
Let
those
me quickly bury it.
who are worried about even the lack of finesse in what is being,
That's where I'm
how
going.
they're going about what they're going
That's
about.
where I'm going, and that's why I want to appreciate Benjamin Ali Biamila, that the time for this type of advocacy is not now. And let me ask you, and let me just, for the benefit of those who are right-thinking people, somebody led a country into an election, telling them or promoting an idea that, look, it's better we do it this way, we stay put. And the other people say, no, we are leaving. The honorable way to do is to leave. And the man has since, as I'm talking to you now, he's either addressing the House of Commons or he's even on his way to the Queen's Palace to do what? To drop his resignation letter. That's what happens in the same climb. But in Nigeria, they rationalize every bad thing to be the best thing. You are caught. This is a simple thing. You are caught in the process of having forged documents to claim what you are not or what belongs to you, which you are not which you did not disclose. The law is there. The law was not made after all this. The law has been there before. You knew the law. And of course, the principle here is that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And for you to have held high-ranking office, you have opportunity of having strong and good lawyers. Because now that you have the problems, you can afford all the big sons in the world. Why didn't you just save yourself all the problems initially?
By consulting.
By consulting, and you now know how to make these things work, and there won't be all this hue and cry. That is one. Two, you are a lawmaker, for God's sake, and the chief lawmaker. What example are you setting? That here you are above the law? And the principle here, my brother, and whoever cares to listen, is that nobody is above the law, no matter who you are.
And when the suggestion was made, as you said, as you gentlemen are saying, that this is quite clearly in reaction to the ongoing forgery trial against the leaders of the Senate in particular, Senate President and the other guy and his deputy. As you know, there was an attempt that, look, the very senators who communicated with the police in the first instance and therefore are the cause of this, Yemi, those guys should come and be sent on suspension for bringing the house to disrepute. Hello, that's why I said maybe they want to hear what we think, so that they can then know how to better, negotiate whatever it is. And of course, that in itself led to all sorts of closed door meetings, and we haven't heard the end of that yet.
I think, like you said, there is an absolute lack of finesse, in all of this. As a student of politics, I know that politics is really about who gets what, when, and how. So there may not be too much of morality in it, and no matter how you paint it, it's about interest, it's about ambition. Nobody is questioning that. But in doing that...
But shouldn't it also be about duty?
That's exactly where I'm going. In doing that, the underlying factor is that power is to be used for the good of the greater majority of the people in any climate. And that is obviously, the opposite is obviously what we are witnessing today. Now, the Senate is threatening, the 5 senators who reported this and who actually even went to court to file a civil case, with regards to the Senate standing rules. They're threatening them with suspension. They're also trying to pummel the president to resignation over this matter by also threatening him with impeachment. Now, there is nothing wrong in wanting to impeach a president or a governor, but you must, the basis for impeachment must be very clear to the people and must be in the people's overall interest. And so this still comes down to self-preservation by the Nigerian Senate.
On the one hand, Yemi, if you permit my butting in, that's on the one hand. And also playing frivolous games almost with this onerous responsibility that is thrust on members of any parliament anywhere in the world. So Nigeria cannot be an exception to that. Maybe one is bordering on commentary when one then wonders why would they take the whole onerous responsibility that they bear and that Nigerians put them in there for? Why would they take it this lightly and think they could get away with it?
Well,
because we're a docile lot?
There's actually been a culture of impunity all along. And people have gotten used to getting away with blue murder. Now, especially those, in very high public offices. And that is why they seem to be resisting this, forgetting, particularly the ruling party, forgetting that they got to power on the crest of change, meaning that things were not going to be the same way they were. And so I can't really fathom why there seems to be this very serious resistance, even from the ruling party, to the president and to the same ethos that, they try to propagate, pre-election.
Yes.
So now,
and you have the Senate president, by the way, a member of the ruling party.
A member of the ruling party. In fact, most of the protagonists of these are actually members of the ruling party. The PDP guys are just waiting to capitalize and just supporting, all these inanities.
Okay, one moment, please. Look, Wale, I made that point about, look, the Senate president is a member of the ruling party. If opposition were even causing this kind of a stir, muddying the waters for whatever reason, I imagine it's the leadership in both houses that would be seeking to bring common sense to bear, sanity to bear, without prejudice to everybody's right to say what they need to say. But I'm not too sure what exactly, who is in what party at the moment.
That's it. There's nobody in any party because there's no party in Nigeria. Why do I say that? Tomorrow, Wale Ogunade can be in APC. In fact, I say tomorrow. This moment as I'm talking to you, if I'm in PDP, if I just see that maybe I ask for a contract and you refuse to give me, I'll just jump to APC. In fact, if I go to Buhari and he refuses me another contract again, I go and look at who is he, Abga, Abi, Obiano in Anambra, and say, where are we there now? If they refuse, I'll even jump into Labour Party and look at the Labour people. As easy as that. What we have in the political space is what we call political prostitution, or what some people will call jumpology. So there's no political ideology.
Does it?
And that's what makes it
hierarchy. A rhetorical question. Does this kind of behavior coming from such an esteemed place as the National Assembly?
That's where I'm going now.
Does it have consequences?
It has consequences. You see, unfortunately, the National Assembly now, particularly the Senate, is peopled by characters that you say, what? What? And the antecedents are rife. Is it the guy who married a 13-year-old girl? Is it the Sarah? I get where. No. Where we are going is that.
I understand.
Look, the Senate, we need people. Look, the whole essence of, let me land, please. The whole essence of the Senate, particularly, and the House of Rep, is to make good laws. Look, I'm a lawyer and I know what we are talking about, laws. Laws are what makes society move. If there are no good laws, then definitely the society will just go on in a brutish manner. Brutish as in brute in raw. In South Korea, just 2 weeks, any matter that goes into the docket means inside the court system, they are through with it. 2 weeks. In Nigeria, you see all frivolous applications, ex parte, Mariva, all sorts of injunctions, all sorts of applications to stop prosecution, including the police. The police is statutorily empowered to investigate. No law can prevent the police from investigating any crime.
Yeah. Now, what do you think when they come up? Because we listen to all these things. Nigerians have been in the position, I don't know if they're to be envied, of having these sensational stories, coming out almost on a daily basis. If it's not some chap, saying that now I will return $400 million.
I'll beat up someone else's wife.
That kind of. There are those who
From
would
a
say that.
chamber.
There were those who would say that, hang on, isn't this the stuff of junior secondary school?
Oh.
But if it's not that, then you're having the kind of thing that we're having now. I'm just wondering what they meant, for instance, when they uttered the line, the executive should choose dialogue or the jugular, and the jugular, of course, later on being impeachment. Dialogue about what? That is the question Nigerians are going. Come and dialogue so that we will
compromise.
So that we will drop forgery.
That is the word.
Yes, it's dialogue to compromise.
Family affair.
And this is after it has been explained before coming to office that when we arrive, if God makes us arrive, it won't be business as usual.
Family
Exactly.
affair.
The Senate president repeated this so many times in the past 1 year that it will not be business as usual.
The Senate president?
Oh,
Yes,
the
now.
Senate president. In
Saraki.
fact, by the time the budget proposal for 2016 was presented, at every turn, he kept, mouthing that it will not be business as usual. And so, unfortunately for me, really, you have a Senate, which is the equivalent of a House of, Lords, in UK, where you expected that the very matured might, operate, turning into a theater of the absurd. In fact, conversely, in Nigeria's experience, especially in this dispensation, we seem to have a more responsible and responsive House of Representatives than the Senate. The chaos, actually, and all the brouhaha normally are reserved for, that's why they are referred to as the lower house, and because there are so many, and but for the Senate to have a senator who got his 22nd chieftaincy title just a few days ago, and that also speaks of the values.
It does.
It also speaks of our values,
Of our words and rewards.
Yes, in the Senate, the hallowed chambers of the Senate are uttering such unprintable words, about, a fellow senator.
That reminds me, threatening to beat up a
female senator.
You can't even do that in a workplace.
You can't even do that in a
You can't do that in an office.
You have no right in your house.
You do that in an office, the
I
consequences
said
are
you don't have
immediate.
that right in your house, not to talk of your
And
workplace.
the fact of uttering it, you see, you don't actually have to do it. The fact that you've uttered
enough.
it, you won't get a chance to do it.
Yes.
Nobody will give you a chance to do it.
So we're gonna. It looks like.
And when you place this side by side, right, with the indiscretion of some House of Reps members in the United States of America, it's so belly churning.
And as you know, there are all sorts of denials going on, to which I think the U.S. has
I understand there are even video evidence.
We will provide video. Since Nigeria is dragging this matter
Obviously,
too much, we will give you video that should just shut everybody up. Mr. Williams calling in from Ikorodu. Good morning.
Good morning, Onguri.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. Long time. And good morning to the two discussants.
Good morning.
Anyway, what is really happening at the National Assembly now is really, I don't know. I don't think these people are civilized in the way they are conducting themselves today. And some of them have to be recalled back. I cannot imagine a senator telling his fellow senator that he wants to slap them. Man, what is really going on? Why are they giving us problem in this country?
Indeed.
What is their own grievances? Why did they want to remove the president? The president meant well, and we should all support him. But anyway, Nigerians are watching.
Okay.
2019 is very close.
No, for your information, we are not going to wait to 2019. We are not going to wait to 2019. There must be an advocacy group, and of course, that's why we're coming up. Indeed, I'm going to liaise with some of our civil society groups, and we're going to take this further. Because he mentioned something, and that's Section 69 of the 1999 Constitution about the power of recall. We begin to mobilize our Nigerian people, all their constituents. As I'm talking to you now,
You know-
none of them have operate their constituency offices.
You know better than me that
Yes.
in our political history,
Yes.
we've not achieved
We'll start.
one recall.
You see, when I started voters awareness, people said the vote can never count in Nigeria. But here we are. At least it has gotten somewhere. So again, we're going to start it, and I put my name on it. We're going to start it, and we are going to recall not just one, but anybody who is found wanting. Mark my word.
Okay. Well, it sounds good because maybe
It's something doable. It's doable.
There is a sense that a lot of people might
It's the
believe
will.
that the National Assembly, from the point of view of those of us that doesn't know book, as our people say, needs to be called to order because above everything else, they are supposed to be an example. Yes, we've seen chair throwing in parliaments around the world. Is that the ideal our people should be aiming for?
No,
is the whole issue?
certainly not. Certainly not. And let me even draw a quick correlation between what is happening, in the National Assembly today and what happens in the private sector. Just a few months ago, a bank, I won't name the bank, was accused of being a conduit for movement of public funds towards the election.
Why didn't you want to name the bank?
And what did the bank do?
Why did you want to name the bank?
Well, no, don't let me do. I'm not here to demarcate any bank.
Go on, Jerry.
Now,
this is how the president was not allowed to name the looters.
The
When the time came, they said, "Oga, don't name them."
The president's only mistake was that he promised he was going to name them. Now,
And you have not
I have not
promised.
promised I was going to name the bank. Now, the board met and suspended the chief executive of the bank. He had not been tried and convicted. He was suspended pending outcome of investigation.
Yes.
And I believe it's been recalled now. I expected the Senate to do the right thing. If they really feel that the executive is, too much in their face, overbearing. The issue of forgery of standing rules, they know that the standing rules were forged. They ought to have sacrificed those leaders, removed them, and let them get on with the business of governance.
That would be playing within the rules.
Yeah, that would be playing within the rules. But now we are placing personal interest above collective interest.
Thank you very much, Imisi Oluwa from Berger, for holding on. Please go ahead now. Is Imisi Oluwa still there from Berger? Good morning. I need a bit of help here. Is Imisi Oluwa still there? Good morning. I don't think so anymore, right?
I'm here. I'm on, sir. Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning. Please go ahead. We've been waiting on you.
Good morning. I'm on. Good morning.
Just go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore because I can see there's a delay. Go ahead, please.
Okay, sir. I think there are two things I actually want to raise here. Ever since Okay. So I think since I've grown up and I've got to understand some few things about how Nigerian government is being run, I got to see that most of these our Senate, to the best of my knowledge and with some level of respect, I think I don't see much of responsibility in them. They are not really responsible the way I think they should. And they've been trying to play along. They've been trying to kind of hide their dirty attitude. But at the long run now, I think they've been able to, start exhibiting those inner real being in them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Imisi Oluwa. It appears that if I were to paraphrase what you're saying, the National Assembly is in danger of losing your confidence if they don't shape up.
They've not been acting responsibly.
Okay, I've got to go on a quick break now. Stay with us, please. We'll come back and we'll continue to take your calls on what you feel about the behavior of the National Assembly.